Hello everyone! It is a fantastic time to be a Star Wars fan. Star Wars Celebration 2019 in Chicago has just ended. We have a ton of new trailers, we have more information on Star Wars content coming out pretty soon, and there's a lot to talk about. Now, I myself did not actually make it out to Chicago to go to Star Wars Celebration because I'm a poor man and I don't have the money to make such a trip right now. As much as I would have loved to have done that, I had to watch a lot of this from home. But being as big of a Star Wars fan as I am, and given that I'm already reviewing every single Star Wars movie leading up to when Episode 9 does come out, I wanted to share some of my thoughts on the things that were discussed at the convention. The four main things I want to focus on today are going to be Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, The Mandalorian, and Season 7 of Star Wars The Clone Wars. Now you have to understand something about my approach with this video though. I'm not going to try to dissect every single trailer or every single bit of information that's been given about every single one of these four announcements. Rather, it's just going to be my short reaction to each and every one of them to let you know what my personal feelings on each of them are, and so that you get an understanding of where my standing is on them. The Star Wars fanbase is always very opinionated about every single thing that is officially canon about everything that comes out for this franchise, and so I wanted to weigh in on that too, give some fair feedback, give you my honest opinion, and see if we can bring up an honest discussion about all these things. So without further ado, I'm going to start things off with Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Alright, it has been leading up to this, Episode 9 of the Star Wars Skywalker saga. And how do I feel about it? Well, to be honest, I'm not really sure. It's a good trailer. It's very well edited. It shows off some very exciting moments with characters, action sequences, and incredible special effects. Oh my goodness. I think from a visual standpoint, this movie will not disappoint in any way because it looks absolutely incredible. And once again, seems to find a nice balance between practical effects and computer-generated imagery. What I am afraid of for this movie is what's implied in the final moments of this trailer when this happens. So obviously this is meant to spark a little bit of mystery as to what's actually going to take place with this movie. I mean, that happened with The Last Jedi when Luke had that famous line,
"It's time for the Jedi to end."
But really, what are the implications here with the Emperor having this cackling laugh at the end of the trailer, especially since right before we hear that, the last image we see is rubble of the second Death Star sitting in an ocean somewhere. Like, is he alive? Is like his Force ghost somehow a part of this story? Is his influence affecting Kylo Ren somehow? I don't know. At least in developing a good mystery and getting the fans to talk about something, this trailer does its job very well. But what worries me about this film is that it's going to end up being fan fiction for Palpatine's return to the story that might actually undo some of the emotional depth behind Darth Vader's /Anakin's arc in Episode 6. So who knows, I have no idea how this could affect Star Wars as a whole in terms of its story, but since J.J. Abrams and his co-writer Chris Terrio actually did sit down with George Lucas himself and talk with him about what he thinks would be the best way to close out this whole entire saga, I have hope that they at least came out with something good. I hope that this movie doesn't necessarily retcon things in The Last Jedi. I hope that it goes in its own direction but still honors the decisions made by Rian Johnson in that film, and ultimately just makes something that is satisfying for fans and haters of The Last Jedi, and closes out the trilogy in a very satisfying way. This is one that I'm even more skeptical about, and I have nothing against Respawn Entertainment in that matter because they've had a pretty good track record with their games so far. I am just one of those guys who doesn't really support EA at all because of their predatory business practices and the way that they basically favor the business over the gamers. And obviously they're aware of this because with the marketing they've basically said, we've screwed up with microtransactions before and loot boxes and multiplayer, so we're making this 100% a game that you guys want. Single player and nothing else. That idea sounds all great and dandy to me, but for someone who's been cheated in the past before, as someone who really wanted the Star Wars Battlefront reboots to be good and they were ultimately just cash grabs, I don't know, I'm just worried as to how this will turn out. Otherwise though, I mean, the trailer does give some promising ideas about what the story will be. I'm interested to see where it goes, how it ties into the rest of the other films, and I'm intrigued to see more gameplay footage that will hopefully come out in a couple of months from now. Even though I'm disappointed that The Mandalorian had no official trailer shown at its panel, from what I did see at the panel, I'm actually really intrigued by what's going to be coming to Disney Plus later this year. I could tell just from watching all these people interact and talk about the great love that they have for Star Wars, and especially the fun that they had making The Mandalorian. I felt that excitement too, and I'm really intrigued to see where all this goes. And also from the footage that they did show and the things that they were talking about with how well they wanted to make it feel authentic and connected to the rest of the Star Wars universe, I truly get a sense that these people wanted to make something because they love Star Wars and not just because they're trying to do something to increase Disney's exposure to the Star Wars branding everywhere. That genuine love for Star Wars is what makes me genuinely excited for what is going to be coming with this show. It sounds unique, it sounds interesting, and I can't wait to see more once a trailer is actually released at some point. I've already talked about how excited I am for Season 7 of The Clone Wars in my review of Seasons 1 through 6 that I posted last week, but man, am I so excited for this show. And actually watching some of the footage in the panel, how gloriously rendered it is, and how it might actually tie in some loose ends from previous seasons. I can't be more excited for how this is gonna go. And to be real, I don't really have much more to say than that. I'm excited. I can't wait for it to come out to Disney Plus later this year. And it's definitely going to be one of the greatest gifts Disney has given to its fans. It's a blessing that we get something like this. Don't take it for granted. If you never watched Clone Wars before, I would strongly suggest going through Seasons 1 through 6. And for those of you who have seen it, I bet you can relate with me as to how excited I am to watch Season 7 of the show too. So guys, those are my quick thoughts on the 4 major panels that were at Star Wars Celebration Chicago this year. Feel free to tell me what some of your thoughts on these things were as well in the comments. And feel free to let me know what you're most excited for as well. The Rise of Skywalker, Jedi Fallen Order, The Mandalorian, Clone Wars, or even something else that was talked about. Feel free to let me know, and I'm sure we can have a great, enlightening conversation about it. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Please feel free to check out my Facebook, Letterboxd, and Instagram profiles in the links in the description below in order to find more content that you won't find here on my YouTube channel. And thanks again for watching. Have a good one.